So I'm sitting here and I am looking at all the new games that are coming out, and I realize that Battleborn has crept up on us, right? And I realized I played in the technical test for Battleborn, and I played the open beta. I was actually really excited about this game, and I thought I should voice my opinions on it. I was like, Wednesday is my float day, Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Friday is CS:GO videos and everything, and Wednesday is my float day. Wednesday is the day that I can say what I want and give my opinions on stuff that's happening in the gaming industry, because that's what this channel is focused on, the gaming industry, right? So I thought, hey, Battleborn is coming up, and I had the opportunity to play more than anyone else, right? Or the most amount of time possible, because I played in both tests, right? And I'm going to admit, I have been a loyal Gearbox fan since the Borderlands, right? No one liked Colonial Marines, and I realized that, but I still believed in Gearbox that they could make a good game, and they can. I think they can. Borderlands 2 is a prime example, but Battleborn doesn't rub me the right way, if that's the expression. And I'm gonna spitball this entire video because it's a Wednesday, right? But I have some points to touch on here on my screen, and there's about 10 of them, 5, 10 of them. And I just want to kind of talk about them and voice my opinions on this game that I honestly don't think should exist. I'm going to say it right now. People are burned out on Borderlands, and I get that, but I personally can never get enough of Borderlands, right? Borderlands 3 was, confirmed or teased or something recently, and I can never get enough of Borderlands. I am a huge Borderlands fan. I own the Borderlands soundtrack along with all the Cage the Elephant soundtracks, and the other guys who made the song for Borderlands 2. Didn't play the pre-sequel, but that doesn't mean I'm not a diehard Borderlands fan, right? I have loved those games, and I've loved Gearbox since the moment I put a controller in my hand, and I can't say any more about that. I love the things that Gearbox does, even if they happen to be kind of quirky or wrong sometimes. I still love them, and I don't think this game should exist. I don't even know what it's technically called, but it's basically a first-person MOBA, and that sounds cool in theory, right? It has 4-player campaign, which is one of the points I'm going to touch on, and it has all this really cool idea of faraway planets, and people are trying to destroy the galaxy or whatever. And that's all fine. I mean, when you want to get really down into it, who wants to destroy the galaxy? That's where you, live in and stuff, right? But, the fact of the matter is that, it doesn't matter because it's a Gearbox game. Gearbox is not known for making these strict, extremely story-focused games, right? They're known for making awesome RPGs that just resonate with millions of players. And I think that Battleborn is a touch away from that. And I think that it's honestly an experiment in one sense as to Gearbox can do anything else besides Borderlands. And they tried that with Colonial Marines, and it obviously did not work. And I have to mention Colonial Marines in this because we're talking about Gearbox, right? But anyway, back to actual Battleborn and the topic of this video. The fact of the matter is that it shouldn't actually be around, and that it doesn't need to be around, right? They don't need to go all over the place. I think they should just make Borderlands, and that's my number one opinion. So that is my opinion going into this video, and now I'm going to talk about the things that I don't like about the Battleborn game. Like I said, I have had a lot of time to play. I played in the technical test and the open beta, both on PC, however not on console because this is a PC-based channel. But point number one on my list right here is that it was no fun. It was no fun at all without anyone to play with. It was insane. I was bored out of my mind when there was no one around, right? I just sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and I did my thing, and I did my thing, with these teammates that I didn't talk to, and didn't talk to, and didn't talk to, over and over again, and it was boring. Honestly, I'd rather play CS:GO or Heroes of the Storm, right? Or even Team Fortress 2. I don't even play TF2 anymore. But I'd rather play TF2 than a game where I literally do nothing. Half the fun of that game is interacting with people who are doing the same thing as you. And that is horrible. Horrible, because it's a $60 game. It is a full price release on all 3 major platforms. This is insane. It requires a second party to be enjoyable, which basically means to enjoy the game, you have to spend $120+ if you're buying it retail. If you're buying off GTA, probably like $80. And if you guys want to buy off GTA, it's down in the description. But if you shameless plug, but if you want to play this game and enjoy it, you have to pay $80 to $120, right? And that is just horrible. That's a horrible thing to do. I do not recommend that in any game whatsoever because it is just a horrible, bad person thing to do. That is what the people at Comcast do. It is a bad thing to do because there is no reason that one game to be enjoyable should cost more than $60. Honestly, I don't even think a game should cost $60, right? I play on PC. I pay $20 for a game and it lasts me for like, 3 to 6 weeks. Right? I don't need to pay $60 for a game, and I don't think console players should either, but that's an entirely different video, an entirely different story. Bottom line is, I don't think it should be a $60 game if it requires a second party to play. I think, honestly, Overwatch and Battleborn, and yes, it does have to be compared to Overwatch, I think they should be different, price points, and I think that price point should be free-to-play, because it's built like a free-to-play. Like, it's gotten to the point where free-to-plays are actually pay-to-plays, and then they still have microtransactions, probably, Next one, this was a huge one for me because I hate games that do this. It had a major performance problem on PC, especially AMD. I don't have an NVIDIA machine, so I cannot test it on a NVIDIA machine, but it had horrible problems on like a high-end AMD machine. And that is a huge problem because at a certain point, brands don't matter, right? If I spend $1,200 on a rig, my brand should not matter, and that is true. I would argue that even for NVIDIA, right? I use AMD for a reason that I'm also not going to get into, but I don't think that it should matter what brand you're using after you spend $1,200 on a game on a computer and then $60 to $120 on a game, right? It doesn't make sense. I hate games that have performance problems on PC because they just undermine the entire idea of a PC. And they basically say, whoa, we don't care about PC. Console's the bigger place. Well, yeah, console's big and all, but PC is where your reviews come from, right? PC is where, you don't see people on YouTube reviewing games on the 360. Or at least, you do, but like not as often as you do on PC. When people review a game, they review on PC because that is often the definitive version of that game, of any game. Honestly, it really should be. I don't believe in exclusive at all, and I'm gonna get completely off topic here, but the bottom line is that it had major performance problems on my PC. My PC is very powerful, and it should not have performance problems. And I get that it was a beta and a closed technical test. I understood it on the closed technical test. I really, really did. I had to turn all the settings down. I still got major frame drops, but I did. I was like, okay, well, there's an open beta coming. It was a close technical test. I think that they will fix it and optimize it more for PC, and they did to an extent, but they didn't do it to the extent that I wanted them to. That needs to happen. It had huge frame drops at random times when there's nothing going on. I would spawn back in, I would be running, and it would just frame drop to like 6 FPS. And I'm running games like The Witcher at 80 FPS. I'm running games like GTA 5 on like high and ultra settings at like 60 to 70 FPS, right? My PC is very powerful, and the fact that it is running a game on medium and low that's dropping to under 10 frames is downright absurd. 100% absurd, and it should never, ever happen on any PC. If you spend $1,200 on a PC, if you spend $700 on a PC, it should never drop below 10 frames. Never. Absolutely unacceptable from any game. I don't care. I don't even care if you're CD Projekt Red, for God's sakes, right? They're like developer of the year, they had game of the year. I don't care who you are. It should not drop below 10 frames. I cannot stress that enough, and it made me so mad that it did that. The next thing is, I only found a few characters interesting, right? I had to get my thoughts together. I only found Oscar Mike interesting. There's 2 other ones, but Oscar Mike was definitely the best. I liked him a lot. I thought he was a typical Call of Duty player. And he was like, frag is for a grenade or something like that. And I thought that was really funny. I thought it was a kind of like play on the video game industry or the video game community in a sense. I thought that was pretty cool. And I really did like him. But besides him, like 2 other characters, really, I didn't really care for any of them. I liked the Thorn chick. and I liked Montana, who's like the big tank guy. And to the character extent, there wasn't a whole lot of characters. I've been talking for like 10 minutes now. Isn't that crazy? There was really only a few characters, and only a few of them were interesting, and even less were actually viable to play, in a online game setting. I don't want to say competitive setting, but in an online game setting, only a few of them were playable, in the sense that you'd be competitive and have a chance to win. That was kind of a short one, so I'm going to kind of go really in depth on what I thought about the story. First of all, there was no tutorial, and there was no like opening mission to the campaign, which may have been intentional, and I understand that. That's fine. I actually don't really care. It was cool to see the campaign. The campaign was definitely the most fun part. I played all 3 game modes. Campaign was definitely the most fun part. However, it wasn't because the story was good. And I know in the introduction I said that it doesn't matter what Gearbox thinks, but the fact about Gearbox is that they weren't ever story driven, and I'm not going to bang it too hard, or bash it too hard for not being a good story, but Gearbox always had a decent story. And at the very least, decent characters, right? And like I said earlier, like the characters just were not fun whatsoever. And I thought that the story was just as bad. The story was weird, and they wanted to take over the galaxy or the universe or something like that. And they were fighting for resources and stuff on the last star. Something crazy like that. And it basically boiled down to you're fighting these undead creatures because you want to take down this evil corporation that's trying to take over. And to an extent, every game boils down to that, or every modern game boils down to that. However, they did it in such a bland and like just like in your face way, like they slapped you in the face with "kill these people because we said." It completely annihilates the idea of an actual story. And I don't want to say it was bland, because it did have interesting characters. Like the story characters were very interesting, right? And they're especially funny. But it wasn't bland, right? It was enjoyable. Like I said, it was the best moment in the game, but it was definitely uninteresting. I did not have any interest in the story, and maybe that's just me, and it probably is just me, I should say. But I also want to say that I loved the Borderlands 2 and Borderlands original story. Pre-sequel is, out of my area of jurisdiction, but I did like both Borderlands stories, and I did like both Borderlands stories, and I don't think that this one was up to par. And like I said, I don't really care. Like honestly, if there was a good multiplayer mode and the characters were interesting and it didn't have performance issues and it was fun without a friend, I could look past the story. It'd be very easy to look past the story, right? I do that with most games because honestly, stories are pretty bad nowadays. But the story was very uninteresting and was not very fun at all. End of story. See what I did there? Talking about the game modes for a second, the Meltdown mode was just plain stupid. It made no sense whatsoever, and they should honestly devote their time to something else. It should be taken out of the game completely. It was boring. It was uninteresting, just like the story. I had no idea what I was doing half the time, which may have been due to lack of tutorial. But honestly, they should devote their time to something besides Meltdown, because everyone thought it was a waste of time. I played it with about 6 other people, right? I was talking to 6 other people who played it. 1 on console, actually 2 on console. 2 of them played it on console, and even they said Meltdown was boring and they didn't want it. They didn't like it. So I completely agree. They should just take Meltdown out, delay the game for all I care, and just take it out and do something else with it, because there does seem to be a second game mode, but it should not be Meltdown whatsoever. Meltdown was just bad. I did not like it. It's hard for me to explain what it was to people who didn't play it, but basically you had to kill minions in order to get points, in order to outrank the other person. I don't know. It was weird. It was nothing like any other MOBA, and that's what maybe what made it weird. But either way, it was just not fun, and they should just take it out completely. Speaking about weird, the 4-player campaign felt weird. Now, I did like the 4-player campaign, but that doesn't mean I like the feel of it, right? There's 2 different things. I thought it was cool to be able to go and fight bosses with my friends, and that was when I had the most fun in the game. But at the same time, I do like single-player games. I think campaign should be single-player. And I think that the 4-player campaign not necessarily took away from that, but it made you rely. You had to have 3 other people to play the campaign, right? There's games where I just want to be like, hey, I want to go through that story again. Sit down. You know, Wolfenstein is a great example. Wolfenstein the New Order or Wolfenstein the Old Blood, great example. I want to sit down. I want to talk, or not talk. I want to sit down. I want to play this game, and I'm just gonna do it all in one sitting or whatever, right? Well, in this game, you have to queue up for your what's it called? Your campaign. And oh wow, it's innovation. It's next gen. No, it's stupid. It's DRM, honestly. It's not cool. Don't do that. Honestly. No. I didn't like it. There should be an option for 4-player campaign, but it should not be mandatory whatsoever. Lastly, on an ending note here, I would like to say that with the exception of performance issues, I don't think any of this stuff is game breaking, right? I think they're all very small issues that add up to one big issue and one gaping hole right where the O is in Battleborn. I do think they should delay it, like I said. I think they should delay it and go back to the drawing board on some of these features, like, you know, the fact that you have to have fun, or the fact that you can only have fun with another person. I think they should delay it and go back to the drawing board and just kind of think about this. I know that won't happen because it already came out, right? But I think they should have delayed it, I should say, I guess is proper grammar. They should have delayed it. They should go back to the drawing board. They should update it with better things and fix these issues. And I like to say that I am not buying this game. This video is coming out one day after it came out. Battleborn came out, and to an extent, maybe the performance issues were fixed. Other than that, I really don't know what could have been fixed in that short amount of time since the open beta. Maybe the performance issues are fixed, and in that case, you can somewhat disregard that. But that is my thoughts on Battleborn, which is like the title of this video, right? It's those are my thoughts on Battleborn. And when I played Battleborn, when I got my first impression, the first Battleborn impression was that it had performance problems, and it might not anymore, and I completely understand that. So anyway, these features should definitely be updated and fixed throughout the next few months that they support Battleborn. And I don't know, maybe I do not recommend this. But however, if you are curious about what is coming in the near future for games like this, I would say buy it, just because it's an early peak, and it's kind of almost a look into the future of the video game industry. And if you want to buy it for less than $60, like I recommend, there's a G2A code in the description, or G2A link in the description, that will let you do that for a lower price than normal. You'll pay probably about high 30s to mid 40s for this game on launch day, or the day after launch day, which is a pretty good deal in my opinion. So thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really want you guys to comment and like, because I am a growing channel. I have been growing a little bit faster lately, but I am a growing channel, and it would really help if you guys give me the ratings. If you guys did like the video, please go ahead and give it a rating, comment, and say what you guys thought. And honestly, tell me your opinions on Battleborn. Have you bought it? Are you going to buy it? Did this video sway you in one direction or the other? Tell me, because I really want to know what effect I have on you guys, and what effect I have on the viewers and some maybe listeners out there. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys.